Hi, I'm Mayah from Ms. Robinson-Ellis' 5th grade class. The person that I got for my famous women's history report is Elizabeth Blackwell, the first female doctor in American history. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about her early life, family, education, later life, and later life and death. I'm also going to be talking about the contributions that she made that led to her becoming a famous woman in American history, as well as my perception of her. Let's get started. Early life. Elizabeth Blackwell was born on February 3rd, 1821 in Bristol, England. She died on May 31st, 1910. In 1832, Blackwell moved from the UK to New York with her family. She later moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. Sadly, Elizabeth Blackwell's father passed away in 1838, causing her, her mother, and two older sisters to begin working as educators to make ends meet. In her mid-20s, Blackwell had a friend suffering from terminal disease who had felt too embarrassed to go to male doctors, lamenting the fact that she would have fared better having a female physician. Blackwell was deeply affected by her friend's words and struggling with an affair of the heart as well. She decided to pursue a career in medicine. Family. Elizabeth Blackwell was the third of 9 children. Her parents include Hannah Lane and Samuel Blackwell. She had a brother named Henry Blackwell, a well-known abolitionist and women's suffrage supporter who married women's rights activist Lucy Stone. Blackwell also had a sister named Emily Blackwell, who also decided to pursue a career as a doctor. Elizabeth Blackwell had a sister-in-law named Antoinette Brown Blackwell, who was the first ordained female minister in a mainstream Protestant denomination. Elizabeth Blackwell adopted a daughter, Irish orphan Kitty Berry, in 1856. Though Blackwell seems to have regarded Kitty as a domestic helper as much as a member of the family, she did make sure she was well educated, and Kitty stayed by her adopted mother's side for the remainder of her life. When Kitty died, she asked that her ashes be buried with Elizabeth, whom she called her true love. In education. In 1844, Elizabeth Blackwell was accepted into Geneva Madison College in upstate New York. She had previously been studying with doctors independently. Blackwell's acceptance was deemed as an administrative practical joke by much of the student body. Also, Elizabeth Blackwell was ostracized by many patients and educators alike. Despite all of the challenges that she had to face, Blackwell held firm, earning the respect of many of her peers. She eventually wrote her doctoral thesis on typhus fever. In 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell graduated, ranking first in her class, as well as becoming the first woman to graduate from medical school in the U.S. Later life. After graduating from medical school, Elizabeth Blackwell returned to Europe and worked in London and Paris. She focused on midwifery at La Maternity, where she contracted a disease during a procedure on an infant that left her blind in one eye, unfortunately making her unable to participate in any more surgeries from then on. Blackwell later returned to New York, where she established a private practice. In the mid-1850s, she founded a clinic that eventually became known as the New York Dispensary for Poor Women and Children. Blackwell also opened the New York Infirmary for Indigent Women and Children in 1857, due to the help of her sister and fellow doctor, Emily Blackwell, as well as the help of physician Marie Zarskua. This institution would last for more than a century. While lecturing in England, Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman to be listed on the British Medical Register. In 1861, she helped establish the U.S. Sanitary Committee. Blackwell opened Women's Medical College of the New York Infirmary in the late 1860s. Here, students received a comprehensive, highly structured, and competitive curriculum. Blackwell later returned back to England, where she established a private practice and served as a lecturer at the London School of Medicine for Women, the first women's medical school in Britain. She specialized in gynecology. Elizabeth Blackwell then moved to Hastings, England sometime later. Death. On May 31st, 1910, Elizabeth Blackwell passed away at her home in Hastings, East Sussex, England, after suffering from a paralytic stroke. She died at the age of 89. Blackwell had previously fallen down a flight of stairs and suffered serious injuries. Her ashes were buried at St. Mun's Parish Church in Kilmun, Argyllshire, Scotland. Contributions that led to Elizabeth Blackwell becoming a famous woman in American history. Elizabeth Blackwell has changed American history in so many incredible ways. She was both the first female doctor and the first woman to graduate from medical school in the U.S. Blackwell even became the first woman to be listed on the British Medical Register. Also, Blackwell established the London School of Medicine for Women, the first women's medical school in England. My perception of Elizabeth Blackwell. In my opinion, Elizabeth Blackwell was an amazing woman. I admire her determination and persistence despite all the challenges that she had to face. It was a hard fight, but she was able to fulfill her dream of becoming a doctor. Fun facts about Elizabeth Blackwell. Elizabeth Blackwell's sister, Emily Blackwell, was the third female doctor in the U.S. 2. Elizabeth Blackwell was a published author. She wrote many books throughout the course of her career, including her 1895 autobiography, pioneer work in opening the medical profession to women. 3. Male students at Blackwell's Medical College became well-mannered due to her presence. 4. Elizabeth Blackwell never married, and neither did any of her 5 sisters. And 5. Blackwell was an abolitionist. During the Civil War, she supported the North and even said that she'd leave the U.S. if the northern states compromised on their stand on slavery. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on Elizabeth Blackwell. I found the information very interesting, and I hope you did too. Elizabeth Blackwell was an amazing woman who has changed history in so many great ways. She's a huge role model who continues to inspire others, even in death.